I've been hearing a lot of hype about Jordan Love. A lot of people are really excited to see him enter the NFL and think he can do a lot. But honestly, I gotta be a bit honest here. I kind of feel like I'm Ben Wyatt in Parks and Recreation, and Jordan Love is Little Sebastian, where it's just like, I'm not quite sure I see it. He's become that dark horse pick that everyone's saying, even though he's currently projected to be kind of a late first round pick. A lot of people are saying that whoever ends up with him could get a diamond in the rough. I'm not quite sure I see it that way, and let's just jump into the breakdown. I mean, this play is actually a good play. There are some plays that I really liked about him. This play is one of the good plays I noticed. What's going to happen is that it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and his two receivers on the top half of the screen, the first of which is going to run about like that. He's going to run up to the top zone on the right side of the screen, but then he's going to cut in. This is, in theory, going to get the Wake Forest defender who's in charge of covering that area to also move into the middle of the field, because then what they can do is send their other receiver who's in that area just running deep down that sideline. Hopefully he can get open. It's going to sort of stretch out the gap in coverage. There already is a gap in coverage there, and Jordan Love is going to try to fit it through. And after the ball is snapped, this play works out perfectly. I mean, his receiver is wide open. No doubt about it. But what I really like about this play from Love is just his timing on this play. I feel like he timed this one absolutely perfectly. Watch how there's plenty of air under it, so his receiver has plenty of time to adjust to the ball if it wasn't a perfect throw, and he's then able to come back and make the grab. Just a good play by Love. Puts the right amount of air under it. Maybe could have put a little bit less because it did result in a hit, but not the end of the world. And then also, I thought that he just timed it very well, where he gave his receiver plenty of time that he needed to try to run through and get the ball, and it was perfectly timed in the sense that it was going to get through that gap in coverage at the perfect moment. So just a good play, I thought, by Love. So, like, there definitely are some good things about Love. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do think that he is a pretty good quarterback. I think he has potential to be a starter in the NFL. In my opinion, I think he's the fourth best quarterback coming into this draft. It's not really a hot take, I guess, to say that, but I think there's some people that are kind of wanting to hype him up to be more than that. I just don't know if he is, to be honest. Like on this play, what's going to happen is that it's going to be man coverage, and what Utah State has going on the top half of the screen is they're going to have those three receivers run those three routes right there. So basically, two of the receivers are going to be cutting down towards the bottom half of the screen, but with one receiver cutting up like that, that's the receiver that Love is going to want to hit. It makes sense. This is a 3rd down and 3, so you would really like to get a touchdown here. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You have an opportunity to go for it and try to get the first down or a touchdown, or just kick the field goal, but you don't want to turn the ball over here, obviously, but you can take a chance maybe if you really want to. And so after the ball is snapped, his receiver is open, but not wide open. I mean, there is definitely a window where Love could try to make this throw, but it's not a huge window. Love is going to have to make sure he gets this ball very far out and make sure that he gives his receiver a chance to make this catch without giving the opposing defender a chance to make the catch. It's without a doubt a very difficult play to make. Like, no doubt about it, this is not going to be easy for Love to make this throw. But Love's going to try for it anyways. However, the throw is just way too soft. It's not far enough, and he put too much air under it, which basically allowed for an easy interception on that one. Just not a great play by Love, in my opinion. Good defensive play, sure, but at the same time, I mean, there's too much air under it, and he didn't get it far enough. And quite frankly, that's such a tough play to pull off anyways that I would have recommended that for Love to not even make that throw, because it's going to be such a tough throw to make. So, not a great decision, I don't think. And also, he doesn't have the arm talent to pull off those types of throws. And honestly, that's my biggest problem with Love. I actually like Love a lot in terms of, he can move, he's a smart player, but his arm talent just I don't think it's there, in my opinion. Again, he's clearly, at best, he has the 4th best arm talent in the draft, and I don't even know about that. He has some intangibles that'll make him a little bit better, but in terms of the arm talent, he's definitely not a top 3 arm talent quarterback in this draft, no doubt about it. Again, I want to be totally fair. I try to show good plays and bad plays of a player, even if I think they're good or bad. Regardless, I want to show some positive and negative examples. So I will show a positive example again of Jordan Love. This play, a very good one, where what's going to happen is that it's going to be zone coverage, but there's an extra man who is dropping back into coverage, so this now means that all of the gaps in coverage are going to be a lot smaller. There's a lot more thin windows where Love can try to make this throw through, he does have a receiver running that route right there, which will get into a gap in coverage, but again, it's going to be a very small gap in coverage, not the gap in coverage that typically you like to try to throw through. Like watch, after the ball is snapped, as you see, he has a receiver getting ready to try to get in that gap in coverage, but there are two Wake Forest defenders who are right in the way, so Love is going to have to time this one absolutely perfectly, and honestly, that's probably my favorite thing about Love is his timing. I think that he times these throws really well, which that's important. That's not a small thing whatsoever. That's how Matt Stafford, one of the main ways he's been able to have so much success in the NFL. Timing is very important. Also, one thing worth noting is that Love is under pressure right here. So as much as he would love to time this one perfectly, he has to make this throw right now. So basically, the timing is going to be so key because he has to make it at a perfect time, but also he can't wait too long because then he'll get the ball knocked out or just get hit while he's thrown, and that could mess up the throw. But he does make a very good throw. He's able to hit his receiver, and that's what he can do. I'm not saying that this guy is going to be a bust. I just think that he's the fourth best quarterback in the draft. He has some very good qualities to him. I've seen some talk about Love. He's the diamond in the rough. Everybody should look at Jordan Love as a guy to maybe draft. I don't see it that way unless you're getting him maybe in the late first round. That's just my opinion. But there are some things that I really like about him, and I totally could be wrong. I could see him developing into a great player. My problem is that I just don't know how high his ceiling is. He kind of, to me, seems like the guy with a low floor but a high ceiling, kind of like what my problems were with Daniel Jones, although I wasn't totally right about that, so I could be wrong about this too. But like one thing that just jumped out at me is that I do feel like sometimes he struggles to make the best reads. I think that's a rookie mistake that he will get better at, but this play is an example of it where it's going to be a cover 2 man play, and it's 3rd down and 15, so right off the bat, I mean, this is a tough situation. Typically, I'm not going to blame you for not being able to convert on a 3rd and 15. But what's interesting here is that that's the route that's probably going to get the most open. But take a look at what happens right when the ball is snapped. So that receiver is clearly going to get open right here. I mean, as you see, he got to the outside in a way where his assigned defensive back is worried that he's running deep. And so now that he is going as far deep as possible, this now means that the defensive back has to run full speed to try to keep up with him. So when the Utah State receiver then decides to cut, he should be able to be open, and this should make for a pretty easy throw for Love. The only problem with this play is that there is going to be a Wake Forest player, who is on a delayed rush right now. So because of that, he's going to actually get a straight shot to Love. I'm not quite sure Love is going to have the time to make this throw. So, if Love decides to just take this sack with it being 3rd and 15, it's not exactly a high chance of working type of play. I would totally get that. But if you look at Love, he's actually looking towards the bottom half of the screen, which is a mistake because the safety on the bottom half of the screen is much further in than the one on the top half of the screen, meaning that Love should absolutely be throwing it to the top half of the screen because it's basically a double coverage if he looks at the bottom half of the screen, whereas it's one-on-one at the player who I have circled in yellow. However, instead, Love's going to try to run for it, and it's just not going to work out. He only gains a couple of yards. He had a guy who was potentially open. Maybe he didn't have the time to make that throw, but what bothered me was the fact that he didn't even look in that direction. That's something that I think is a flaw. But again, it's something that I think he can improve on at the NFL level. That's not a reason why I wouldn't draft him, but that is something that I would say might be a hindrance to him in his rookie season, and it might take him a couple of years to really get that part of his game down. So he's kind of a bit of a project in that regard. And, that's, again, part of my problem with Love is I feel like you're kind of getting a bit of a project who I don't know if he has that high of a ceiling compared to some other guys. And especially with all of the great quarterback free agents that should be available this offseason, to me, I think I'd rather just go with a free agent and then just don't draft him. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are saying, well, I'm not saying draft him with a top 5 overall pick. Maybe draft him with a mid-round pick. But, in the mid-round picks, you can get guys like just last season, Brian Burns went in the mid-round. Garrett Bradbury went in the mid-round. Darnell Savage, Titus Howard, Josh Jacobs, and Marquise Brown were late first-round picks. Granted, I'm picking out the better ones. You also had some guys who maybe didn't burst onto the scenes their first season, like a Rashawn Gary, for example. There definitely were some, It's not a guarantee you're going to get a great player, but it definitely, I mean, I always feel like with a first round pick in that area, you expect to at least get a Pro Bowler. And so are you willing to give up a Pro Bowl level player to get Jordan Love instead of just signing a free agent if you are a quarterback needy team? I just don't know. It's just not something I would do, but I do understand that, hey, you never know. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you draft someone, for all you know, they could end up being an elite player. That there always is that possibility, but I just don't know if I see that with Love. Like, one more play that's definitely a bad play. It might even be a little bit unfair me bringing this play up, but what's going to happen is that it's going to be a quick play action, and then he's going to just throw a quick screen to the top half of the screen. He has one receiver blocked, the other receiver runs to the outside. Very simple play, nothing fancy whatsoever. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you're going to see the throw just is completely wild here, and at first it looks like Love just completely whiffed on the throw, but that is not what happened there. What actually happened was that when he had to take the snap, then fake a handoff, then get the ball back and make a throw quickly, he just kind of lost the grip a little bit and wasn't able to make the throw that typically he would make had he just had the ball in his hands before the snap. You know, had you not have to have the snap and he just started with the ball, then he would have had a much easier time doing it. So again, it's a small thing. I totally think that this is not something that's going to be a huge problem in the NFL. I'm not saying don't draft Jordan Love because he occasionally will not get the right grip on the ball. But to me, I think it's more emblematic of a major problem that he has some work to do at these small things. He has to get the technical things down before he can really thrive. And again, are you going to spend a first-round pick on a project who maybe doesn't have the ceiling that, like, listen, I'm not a big Justin Herbert guy. I think there's a bigger chance that Justin Herbert is an MVP quarterback than Jordan Love. That's the difference between those two guys, in my opinion. I just don't know how high of a ceiling he has. I think there's a very real chance Jordan Love does turn into a decent player, but again, you can get decent players in free agency this season. So that's just kind of my concerns about Love. I probably wouldn't draft him. But again, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. A lot of people are very high on him. So I'm just one guy's opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.